I'm going to share with you some of my memories from my life. Well, and where else would we get memories for? They're obviously things that happened to us. Anyways, we all know what memories are. I don't need to go into all of that. Duh. Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my tent. My name is Christy, spelled with an E, and Lucky is here as usual. He knows he was on the back of the couch, and as soon as I came in here, boom, he's here. He just knows I can be quiet. Maybe it's me being quiet where, I'm normally not quiet, and then he goes, oh, maybe like, parents out there with toddlers, when they're quiet, something's up. Maybe that's how he sees me. That when I'm quiet, something's up. Because normally I'm not. Anyways, I thought it would be fun to share 10 more things with you today. And these 10 things I did put in a category, not music, but memories. So I'm going to share 10 of, I really can't say my favorite memories, but 10 memories that I would like to share with you, and starting with one that gets brought up an awful lot. Number 1, my cousin Terrell is older than I am by quite a few years. He was in the Navy, in the military. I used to have his graduation picture for a long time until it was taken away by the cult, which is going to be in my stories from the cult that will be coming up shortly. It's a little bit harder to get all that broken down the way I want to, but I will. But anyways, I don't have an older brother. I am the oldest of all of my siblings, and I always wanted an older brother. So when I was about 12, my cousin Terrell adopted me as his little sister, and he became my big brother. And that's not the memory that we're going to focus on, though. He's just part of it. My sister cousin wifey, Katie, yes, I'm telling that story, Katie. You know exactly what I'm talking about. I don't remember if we were having a spat or what was going on, but I had Terrell make Katie kiss a pike. If you don't know what a pike is, I will pop a picture up here so you can see what a pike is. It is a kind of fish that is up in the lake at my grandma's in Michigan. And yes, Katie kissed a pike because Terrell made her, because I said so. We tell that story all the time, and Terrell does not remember. That's the funny thing. Katie and I remember that so well, and Terrell's just like, I don't remember that. I don't know, maybe he's getting too old. Number 2, there is a place up in the woods where I grew up that we called the Hole. It was a round piece of concrete sticking up out of the ground, this round tube that went down into this big open cavern. It was all cement. There were rocks down at the bottom along with, animal bones and a blanket or two, I think. And it was, it was a mysterious spot. What could this thing be? To children, mind you. I was a kid back then. And we had all these fantastical ideas of who lived there and this and that and the other thing. And we'd, climb down, and we'd have to do it in teams. We could never just, everybody, you had to have help to get out, because you couldn't stand inside at the bottom and get out unless you could jump and grab a hold of something and pull yourself up. And not everybody could do that. So there were some people that we would accidentally on purpose, leave in the hole and pretend we forgot about them, even though we could hear them yelling, like my friend Chris. That was absolutely hilarious. It turns out that this hole up in the woods was an old water cistern back, I don't even know when. There used to be barns all over that property back in the 1800s. The house I grew up in was built in 1845. So it's an older property. So there's all sorts of different things you could find. All of the barns had been torn down, but apparently that cistern was just left open for people to stumble upon or in. And a few years later, after we discovered it, it got either filled in or capped off. I can't quite remember if they filled it in or if they just capped it off. But we could no longer go down and play in there anymore, which is kind of disappointing. But that was one of my cool spots up in the woods. Number 3, growing up in Michigan, we had snow. I miss the snow. I love the snow. When I went to visit Lila, when I went back to Michigan for the first time since moving to the South, which was like 11 years after I moved. Okay, not 11 years, more like 7. But anyways, I'd been living in the South for quite a while, hadn't seen any snow, so I went up during the winter because I wanted to see snow. And our backyard had a nice hill, went down the hill, and there was a creek at the bottom of the hill. And there were bushes and different brambly things around the creek, which was nice because when you're sledding down the hill, you know, at your top speed, they stopped you from going any further. And one year, my dad decided that he was going to cut all of that down and remove all of that. And he was really working on making the yard look prettier. And so he cut all that down. And that winter, I don't know how many of us ended up sledding into the creek and coming back up to the house, a sodden, bedraggled mess. That was fun. We learned how to not go in the creek. But the first couple of times we didn't remember that all of that had been cut down until it was too late. Number 4. This memory also pertains to the creek. I spent so much of my time in the creek playing with rocks, diverting water, making ponds, digging up snapping turtles. I mean, I did all sorts of stuff down in the creek. But every New Year's Eve or New Year's Day, no matter what, day of the week it fell on, didn't matter. Unless it was Sunday, then we do it after church. But my dad would line all 5 of us kids up in the kitchen because we had a back door in the kitchen leading out to the porch and outside. We'd all line up and he'd give us a countdown, open the door, and we'd all take off. Oh, I forgot to mention something. We were all in our bathing suits with no socks or shoes on, January 1st in Michigan. So there was snow. Yes. So we would take off running. When he did the countdown, we'd take off running down the hill and try to be the first one to get wet in the creek for the year. I won, I don't know how many times. I was very, 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 very proud of the fact that I was the first one in the creek for whatever year it was. That was my claim to fame as a child. Number 5. This is another memory that happened up at my grandma's lake in Michigan. Now, when I'm talking about like upper Michigan, I'm not talking about the UP. I'm talking about I grew up down here and grandma was up here. So, that to me was up north. But anyways, so I always loved going to the lake, went there for a couple weeks every summer to hang out with Katie. And one of my best memories at the lake was playing games. We played all sorts of games. My grandma had this, not really maybe a desk, a tall desk that had books on it and notebooks with game scores from games going back to the early 80s. And it was fabulous. There were drawers that were full of decks of cards, all sorts of different kinds of decks of cards. I had my favorite deck of cards, which it had 2 pictures. It was 2 decks and each one had a picture. One was Blue Boy and one was Pinky. Those are 2 of my favorite paintings because they were my favorite cards as a kid. So yes, I'm obsessed with Blue Boy and Pinky, if you know what that is. If you don't worry about it. It's just some artwork, that's all. Of a guy in blue and a girl in pink, and they go together, even though they're not the same painting. They're always 2 separate paintings. But anyways, so we had cards, we had Monopoly and Masterpiece and all of these different games that we played. But one of our favorite games was Uno, and we would play it on the big screen porch at the big log cabin. And on that porch, there was a big table. It was a big round metal table with a glass top. And the best thing about playing Uno with Katie and our other cousins was that we would cheat, passing cards under the glass top table. We could all tell. We all knew what was going on. We didn't care. We were having so much fun. We always did that. And this is for you, Katie. Yeller. Next year at the cabin, right? It's on this year or next year. We're gonna make it. I know we are. I won't bring Lucky. He would be in the way. Hello, just like you're being in the way now. Hello. Hi. Yes, you are such a pretty kitty. What? I can call people. Oh, I'm so sorry. Excuse me. Handsome. Such a handsome kitty. Oh, yes. You have bad breath. Why does your breath smell like fish? You don't eat fish. Why does your breath smell like fish? I don't know. All right. Thank you. Yes, I love you. Go hang out with Freya. He says no, he wants to be here in my face. Because that's always what he wants to do. Number 6. As part of the cult, which this is not really a cult story, it only happened during that era. We would go down to Knoxville, Tennessee every year for a yearly conference that lasted for a whole week in the Thompson Bowling Arena in Knoxville, Tennessee. Hello? Excuse me. Fine. Get up on my lap. There. Sit. Good boy. Anyways, where was I? Oh, yes, Knoxville. We would go to the Knoxville Zoo here and there. And the first time that we went, they had their big cat outdoor enclosure. And it had like just a chain link fence that ran around. I mean, it was tall, but that was all. There was one of the white Bengal tigers was leaning up against that fence, and his fur was sticking out of this chain link fence. And I love big kitties. If I am ever killed by a mountain lion, just know that my last words were, "Here, kitty, kitty." That would definitely be true. I wanted to pet this cat so bad. And I'm just like, you know those movies where you see someone creeping up like Aladdin and the lamp? That was what it was. It was like, I was like, I want to touch you. I want to touch you. And then I got snatched. My dad pulled me back real quick. He was like, no. I wanted to pet the kitty. That is a dangerous kitty. You can't go up and try to pet them. Yeah, that would have been awesome. I would have loved that. Maybe one day I'll get to pet a big tiger or a leopard or jaguar. I do have a house panther. She's just of the miniature variety. Number 7. As part of growing up in Michigan, I grew up over here near Grand Rapids, and Detroit's over here, about 3 hours away from where I grew up. And every year they would have the annual auto show. And my dad was a car guy, so we were always going to the auto show. He would take one of us kids, either me or my sister, because we were the older ones. He'd swap years. She'd go one year, I'd go the next year. Well, we all wanted to go. So one year we went with another family that we were really close with. Our parents were best friends kind of deal. And their oldest son, Ryan, that was my best friend growing up. And we went down to, I believe it was Cobo Hall, where they had the auto show. And the outside walkway, outside of where all the cars were being shown, there was like a triple balcony. It was all open, and you could go up to these upper levels. And Ryan and I went up there with M&Ms, And we'd sit there looking over the railing and dropping M&Ms on people. Yes, I was a brat as a child. I know that I was. I am fully aware of it. And it's okay. I'm not that much of a brat anymore. Katie, don't say anything. That's not all we did at that auto show that year. We also went with his grandparents, who were like, like my own grandparents. We were close with them. And the carpeting that they had where the auto show was being held was that short, fluffy carpet. And Grandma shuffled her feet across the carpet and came over and touched Ryan on the nose and zapped him. And he jumped a little bit, so that he zapped me, I zapped him. We were going around, going to people, scooching our feet along the floor and then walking up and tapping someone on the shoulder, like, excuse me, and zapping them. Like I said, we were bratty children. We did some crazy things together. I really enjoyed those auto shows, though. I saw some really amazing cars. I remember when the Prowler, when that one came out. Okay, I know, I'm showing my age. I'm old. I get it. It's fine. I don't care. But the Prowler, oh my goodness, that thing was sexy. I loved that car. The PT Cruiser, no. I don't know. They took the Prowler and they just kind of smushed it into a little compact and said, here you go. No one wanted that. No one wanted that. Number 8. And for this one, we're going to go back to the lake with Katie. We had canoes there was an aluminum canoe that was always pulled up by the dock, where we'd go, go out to hang out and everything. And there was always, an aluminum canoe. There was a paddle boat and who knows what else. Katie and I would love to take the canoe out. We'd paddle it out into the middle of the lake and then we would flip it over. We'd take my sister out because for some reason we just had to be mean, like I said, bratty kids. Well, we'd take my sister out. We'd have her sit in the middle of the canoe and we'd go out in the middle of the lake and flip it. I don't know why she would go with us when she knew what we were going to do. We did it all the time. It was like our MO. That's what we did. We'd tip the canoe and then we'd, come up underneath it because it sounded funny when you've got, just that air gap between the, the water and the canoe. And we'd talk, we'd flip it back over. It was, of course, full of water, so it didn't want to stay upright that way. And we'd try to paddle it. We did some weird things at the lake, some fun things, though. We'd also take one of those big inner tubes. I'm not talking a little inner tube. I'm talking one that can hold 3 people, a ginormous inner tube. And it was black too, so it would get really, really hot, and it'd feel really nice if it was a cooler day in the water. And we had a rope tied around it and it was tied to the dock. And we'd get on that thing and just let it float and we'd float off down, out a ways into the lake and then we'd pull ourselves back up to the dock and let it go again. We had so much fun. I missed the lake. I need to go back this year. We are doing it, Katie, next summer. Number 9. I saw a magic trick when I was younger where a man took what appeared to be a Kleenex and a lighter and lit one end of it and it, started to burn. He tossed it in the air and it just disappeared. And I thought that was so cool. So I wanted to try it because that's what kids do. And I had a Kleenex. I, made it, pulled the other piece off of it, because it was like a 2-ply Kleenex. So it was just one piece. And I was like, all right, cool. So I found a match, because we had kitchen matches back then because we had a wood stove. Well, it was fun. So I had my little handkerchief, Kleenex, lit my match, put it underneath it, lit it, tossed it in the air, and it fell on the carpet and started burning. I got to explain that to my parents, why there was a hole burned in my carpet. Yeah, that was fun. Some of us only learn the hard way. That's me. Yeah. I learned the hard way. At least I know I do. Number 10. I was a very imaginative child. I'm still fairly imaginative. I'm still strange, obviously. But I had a dream of having a jungle bedroom. I wanted a tree in the middle of my bedroom that would, have a secret door, and that was my closet. And then I wanted to have something attached to that tree and then a painted tree on the wall where I could hang a hammock to sleep. And since my mom said that I couldn't do that for all the time, I had to have a bed, I said, okay, well, I will have a bed that is a tent so that I can go in my tent at night. I wanted green shag carpet to be grass, of course, except for a little bit in the middle of the floor because I wanted to have a stream. So I was going to paint blue on the wood of the floor where the carpet was bare to show where the river was, with some indents for water bowls for my cats, because where else would you put a water bowl except in a fake river? Am I right? And this river, stream, whatever, waterway, would go through the bedroom to where the stairs were, and then it would go down the stairs like a waterfall. I was going to paint all the stairs to make this waterfall. And I was going to have these hanging vines with Christmas lights in it, and I was going to have a cave at one end where I could put all of my stuffed animals, because animals live in caves, because if bears live in cave, all animals live in caves. Child brain. But anyways, that was my dream for my bedroom. Little off the wall. I still think it's kind of cool though. I'd love to have a tree with a secret door as something. It doesn't have to be a closet. Although I don't know what else you would put inside a tree. Your half bath? But then why have a hidden door? We have a bathroom. It's hidden somewhere in the house. If you can find it, you can use it. Sorry, not sorry. I'm never sorry for my jokes. And if you don't laugh, that's okay. I laughed enough for the both of us. I hope you have a fantastic Friday, y'all. Stay safe out there. And I'll catch you later. Mwah. Toodles.